So as we move through this, we've identified the problems. What is the next step to get through this?
So what you need to do first is you need to just start brainstorming all of the proposed solutions, at least the things that come to your mind. But here's the trap. At this point, don't check anything off the list. That's what people do. They're like, oh, I'm having a problem with communication, so we could do this one thing. And then you're like, no, that won't work because of X, Y, and Z. You're not doing that right now. All you're doing right now is proposing as many different solutions as possible, because after the fact, then you're going to go in and you're going to review those solutions. What I look for is two things in a solution. Number one, which solution is going to move the needle the most? Like, which is going to have the greatest impact on this problem I'm dealing with? Because resources are finite. Manpower is finite. Financial capital is finite. So what solution am I proposing is going to move the needle the furthest? That's number one. And number two, which one can I do the fastest? And that's very, very important, especially for leaders who tend to be perfectionists in their work, is they won't do it because it's not perfect. Sometimes you have to plug the gap in, or the hole in the dam, before you actually go in and actually fix the dam and make it right. And sometimes plugging, not to never come back to it. You actually got to fix it, but to plug it so you can go and work on it more correctly.
Yeah. So there's a mix here of speed and impact. And as you balance those, you go, how can I solve this quickly and effectively without spending too much time, too much money, too much manpower?
Yeah, speed and impact, the best way I would describe that is efficiency. Efficient doesn't mean fast. It doesn't mean slow. It doesn't mean you spent a bunch of money or you spent no money at all. It's that the ratio, or however you choose to look at it, is exactly right. We spent the right amount of money and got the best possible result we could.
Yeah. So what is the right perspective to have as you approach these problems? You have some solutions here. How do you make sure you're thinking through the solution with the ramifications in mind? How does this affect the team? How does this affect our customers?
Yeah. So are you asking from a position of leadership, or somebody who's striving to assert themselves to become more of a leader?
I think it's that person in leadership who is in charge of fixing the problem, whether or not they're going to do it or not.
Yeah.
So how do they address that when there's some things on the line here? There's money, time, customer perception, how the team feels about it. There can be a lot going on there.
Yeah, I think the best thing you can do is look for feedback from people who are involved. So you have to go up and you have to go down. And when I say go up, maybe it's more lateral, maybe it's sideways. But like, if you don't have mentorship, if you don't have people in your life who are successful in the areas that you want to be successful, then you're really, really missing an opportunity. Because you might present a solution to a problem that you see, or at least have a solution, and you can go to a mentor, somebody you admire, somebody you respect, somebody who has credibility, and ask them, here's what I'm thinking about doing. They're going to show you all sorts of blind spots that you just cannot see yourself, because they've been down that path. So don't ever think that just because you might own the business or you're in a position of authority that you shouldn't be looking to people who are more advanced than you, more knowledgeable than you. That's going to go a long way.
Yeah. And I think of our own operating board here at Ramsey Solutions, where Dave has this incredible team that he's grown of leaders who he can bounce these ideas off of and make the hard decisions and delegate things to, which is so important as you grow and scale your business. But early on, it may just be you, and you might need to find that mentor who's been there, who's done that, who can guide you through that process.
Yeah, I mean, mentorship is huge. A lot of times guys get stuck, though, and gals, people get stuck because they don't know what value they have to offer others, like a potential mentor. Well, one way is you can just hire a mentor. That's a way you can add value to their life. You pay them. Another way is there's going to be people in your sphere of influence. Maybe it's somebody at church, or a neighbor, or a relative, even if it's a distant relative. And the best way you can add value to that person's life is give them an opportunity to serve. Because people who are so far down the track, they've got it all, right? They've got the money, they've got the resources, they've got the business, things are humming. It feels good to help other people. And typically, those who have built amounts of wealth and success in their life do it because they add value. So just as you want to add value to them, they would like to add value to other people. And so if you do have a mentor, and here's one of the traps I would say avoid, is don't ghost them after the fact. If I come to you and I say, hey, what do you think about this? What should I do? And you give me proposed solutions and I implement them and then never tell you about it, that's not valuable. I need to come to you and say, hey, I implemented what you proposed. I tweaked a few things, but I implemented it, and here's what worked and here's what didn't, and I'm going to keep doing it. I just want to tell you, I really, really appreciate you. Following up with mentors is the value that you add to them because they feel good that it's working and that you're actually doing it. Because nobody wants to waste their breath. Like nobody wants to share a bunch of insight that could potentially change your life and then you not do anything with it. So, but also we talked about going down too, right? So and I'm not talking about worth. I just want to make sure I clarify that. But you have to talk with your team because they're the ones that are going to be impacted by the decisions you're making. So if you have a proposed solution and it doesn't work because one of the departments says, well, actually, we can't do that, then that's going to be a problem. So what I suggest doing is getting your key people in and then doing a red team session and let people just poke holes at your idea. Not to be mean-spirited, not to blow it out of the water, but to really with the intent of finding a way around that. So that is a trap a lot of people fall into is they're like, oh, we'll red team this, we'll look at this idea, and then they walk away completely deflated because everybody just picked apart their idea.
Yeah,
right.
That can be hard. And as a leader, it can be a little scary to be that vulnerable. And the team feels like, can I really be honest with Ryan right now? Because he just brought this idea in that he's excited about, this problem that he wants to solve. I don't want to deflate that. How do you avoid that?
You as a leader have to detach yourself from the response. Like if you're going to ask for feedback and you're going to ask for input, I would establish some ground rules first and foremost. One of the ground rules is, hey, we're not here to blow this up for the sake of blowing it up. We're here to see if this will work, and if it won't, to manipulate it and tweak, adjust this solution so it will work. That's the attitude. So you have the ground rules, and then you have to detach yourself from the response. Because if you came up with the idea, you're emotionally attached to that. And if somebody says, that's a dumb idea or that won't work because of X, Y, and Z, people tend to take that emotionally. You can't. You have to detach. Again, it's all about what the objective is. If the objective is to grow the movement, grow the business, grow the mission, then we got to figure out the best path forward. But there's this one other little important factor, and that is your response is going to really dictate whether or not this is going to work and whether or not they're going to help you in the future. If you say, I talk about this in the context of your wife, or a husband, and you really want your spouse to communicate more effectively with you about money, let's say. And so she comes to you and says, hey, I spent a little more than I should, and I haven't been really keeping a good budget, but I wanted to keep you on the same page so we can make sure that we do this together. And you completely lose your mind. Like she's never going to share any of that information with you again. So detach from the emotion and the feeling of it. Ask yourself, does it align with the mission, the purpose of what we're doing? And then be mature. Like have enough emotional intelligence to realize that you can't blow up when they give you the feedback that you asked for. You're only undermining yourself.